Oh, hey, look, speaking of being on live code, uh, you may notice, thanks, Al. You may notice Al Capone's cigar is missing. So some of the excitements of being in development. So let's just get off that screen as quickly as we can and select Al. There he is with his air cigar. Oh, there's his cigar. It's reappeared.
Hello everyone, welcome to another stream from Empire of Sin. This time we are changing the format a bit, so this is the first episode of Chicago Chronicles, in which we'll try to take over Chicago and build our criminal empire one step at a time. And together with me are...
Well, yes. I am Brenda Romero, I am the game director, yeah, I think that's all you need to know about me. I mean, there's other things, but I try to keep those secret as much as possible.
And I'm Ian O'Neill, and I'm just happy to be here.
All right.
Oh, I also do combat design.
We'll start as Al Capone, and we'll drive you through the tutorial missions today to show you all the base core game mechanics. And later we'll make a save, and in the future streams we'll continue from this save. So our goal here is to make sure that you will be able in the end to see also the mid game and late game where we already have a big established empire and we are becoming true kingpins of Chicago.
We're getting started? Right.
Yep.
Yeah, and I should say, this is my standard reminder. We are on live code, so anything can and will happen.
Is this going to be a sandbox or more of a campaign story-driven game?
Is yes an acceptable answer?
Yeah, it's kind of like yes.
Yeah, I'll take one
Norse
side of it.
Wolf.
I'll take one side of it, Ian, if you want to take the other side. So
yeah,
I'll take it does have a campaign. Every single boss that's in the game has his or her own storyline that spans over the course of their empire. So and they have run-ins with other bosses as well, and sometimes there's interactions there. So there is the campaign aspect of it. And now I will turn it over to my lovely co-host.
But the rest of it is a sandbox. It's a complete sandbox. Yeah. So when you start off a new game, you are randomly placed into one of the, depending on your game settings, because this is a strategy game where you set up your own game. So you'll see it when I go into a new game. I can select how many neighborhoods I want to play in. I can select the number of factions I want to go up against. I can select the number of bosses I want to fight against. So it's really down to you how you want to play your game. So that's the kind of sandbox element. So yes, every boss does have their own campaign and their own kind of story missions that you will go through, and you can go through at your own leisure. But then the rest of the game is all pretty much a sandbox, and how you go about it and how you approach situations and how you go about interacting with the different factions is all completely down to you.
Oh, hey, look, speaking of being on live code, you may notice, thanks, Al. You may notice Al Capone's cigar is missing. So some of the excitements of being in development. So let's just get off that screen as quickly as we can and select Al. There he is with his air cigar. Oh, there's his cigar. It's reappeared.
Okay. So this is when we're talking about you can set up the game any way you want to set up the game. This is what we're talking about. So you can select how. So if you want a nice short game and you only have a couple of hours, or you only have an hour, drop everything down, set it to low, and difficulty is up to you, whatever you want to play on. But drop the neighborhoods down, drop the thing down. For us, this is going to be quite a long campaign process, so this is going to be over the next couple of streams. So what we're going to do is we're going to whack everything up to the max.
Awesome.
When anybody thinks of Prohibition and the quintessential gangster, it is Al Capone, Scarface. So I guess once we get more into the game, it's not just Al, but all the different bosses. They have their own individual bonuses in terms of Empire. In Empire bonus things they're good at. They have their own diplomacy bonuses, and each one has their own unique combat ability, which Ian will be, Ian's a good person to discuss that. Or we can just show them what it's like.
Oh, I'll show them. Okay. So each boss has... there are talent trees, profession trees we call them, for each of the different classes in the game, and the bosses are kind of an amalgamation of all of the professions, but the bosses also have, each boss, so each one of the 14 bosses also has a unique special boss ability as well. So as we get into it, I'll show off Capone's one, and I'll talk a little bit about the design of it as well.
Okay.
So this is at the start of 1920, so this is also quite a young Capone coming across from New York to Chicago for the very first time. So this is his introduction to the city of Chicago.
And to introduce him even more, we actually prepared a very short video that is showing him in action, so maybe we can run this right now.
Oh, cool.
Hello.
Italian guy, coming in from New York, right? Carries a box of god-awful cigars with his face plastered on him. Don't tell me there's more than one of these guys.
That's Frankie. You know where he's staying?
Nah, he didn't say.
Okay,
But
good.
I
Glad people
find
can hear
him.
sound. So why no multiplayer mode? Megalomania is asking. Because the game is just designed to be a single-player game. I know that's because that's just how we decided to design it. There's certainly interest from people for multiplayer. I would say it's one of the top questions that we get, and I just want to let everybody know we are absolutely hearing those questions. Just trust that we're hearing them.
Also, probably the most recurring question is about the release date. So let me just briefly comment on that. We know that you're asking.
Soon,
We see the
TM.
comments, and we will announce it very soon. So just follow us,
You-
and we'll
You're
announce
just
it.
getting soon, TM. Yeah.
So, Gooey Bonbon. That's such a good name. First of all, Ian, I have a question.
Yes.
When the very first place you open, can you please name it Gooey Bonbon?
Yes, of course.
Show me the ropes. We're going to go through the tutorial here.
Yep.
Welcome
All right.
to Chicago. Let's have a look around.
So,
I love Sal's voice. I really do. I really like Sal's voice.
all right. So, Empire of Sin, it is because it's a strategy game. Well, any game really. There is a tutorial, so you'll get an idea. Just to let you see
Chicago was a dangerous place,
how we go
and
through it. So
survive.
teaching you,
You're gonna
you know,
need
how to
learn
walk around the world,
Possibly.
just
I
the
know
basic
right
stuff
where
that you would
can
need to
find
know.
one. All right.
I wonder. Oh no, I can't. Everything's okay. We haven't even started. I'm already trying to break the tutorial.
This joint belongs to Ron
Please don't.
O'Neill. He calls himself the boss of the meat packers.
So I've gone into combat here, and as you see in the start of the game was real time. So you're moving around the neighborhoods, you're moving around the city in real time. The world clock is ticking away as you're doing that. When you go into combat situations, so like I've done here in this interior, it turns over to turn-based combat. So if you are familiar with other turn-based combat games such as Wasteland or XCOM or any of the other dozen of them that I'm forgetting, Mario Rabbids, you'll be very familiar and at home with the concepts at play here.
But you can turn on the turn-based combat mode at any time, right?
Yes. So we call it ambush. So ambush it's essentially if you press control, you go into turn-based mode anywhere you want. So now sometimes you will get ambushed and you will get dragged into fights, which is unavoidable. But if the player has the drop on a bunch of enemies, you can press control and you will be able to go into turn-based mode and essentially ambush them.
I'm gonna, Ian, while you head into
Sure.
combat there, I'm gonna answer some of the questions, or I'll address some of the questions that we have here. So Ronzo199 is asking, I have Empire of Sin in wishlist. Thank you very much. That is awesome. Any tips on Dean O'Banion? Indeed. So Dean, yeah, in fact, you know what? Probably the easiest tip that I have is we did a whole stream on Dean O'Banion. So you might want to check out the beginning of that because I think it was Katie was on that
Yep.
stream.
Yep.
So there's lots of tips in there. So you might want to check out that previous stream. Chinese Food says, how replayable are you planning on making the game? Is it mainly story-based or more open world? It is both. So each one of the bosses has their own, we'll say, campaign mission, but it is a sandbox game. It is designed to be incredibly replayable. So that is absolutely one of the pillars of the game. Epic Mark Van. How about custom bosses, maybe at a later date, if not shipping with it? So we aren't shipping with custom bosses in the game right now. We're shipping with a good collection of them for sure. But suggestions like that, custom bosses, that sort of stuff, the more we hear them, every single one of these we're taking note of, and we appreciate your interest.
And now you will receive 25 comments, custom
You know
bosses.
what? Though, that's great. I mean, one of the things like you, as you know, I mean, Ian and I are players as much as we are game designers. And when you hear somebody talk about something, you're 25 people saying we want this.
Yeah.
That sort of stuff helps. First of all, you know people are engaged. Secondly, people are doing your job for you, so thank you. And third, it gives you an idea of what people really want. So I appreciate that.
It really shows off the passion of the community. Like we're always blown away with the amount of feedback that we get and the amount of love that we're shown from the community. And one of the aspects, it's not part of the tutorial, obviously. But one of the aspects of Empire Sin is its modability. It's highly, highly moddable. It's built to mod. Like we've spent a lot of time developing systems and developing modular systems that are easy and accessible for modders to play around with. So I'm like, we're not going to release customizable bosses or customizable characters, but there is nothing stopping fans going off and customizing characters themselves with mods. So like I'm super excited to see what the community does with our game. So this was the tutorial fight for the initial to take over Ronnie's speakeasy, so his bar. So I've just defeated his guards, and because I've just defeated his guards, this speakeasy is now mine. So the screen, which I should have stopped and shown, behind this was if you take over a racket from either another faction or from a bunch of thugs who are occupying one, you will be able to set that building up whatever way you want. So because this building is a speakeasy at the minute, it's not going to cost me anything to take it over as a speakeasy. But if I wanted to change it into a brewery or a brothel or a casino, it would cost me a fair chunk of change to upgrade it and change it into something else. So as you can see here, this is our racket information panel. So here you can see that each racket has its own upgrades as well. There are a few different ones in, say, the breweries which have production and they have storage. For the casinos and the casinos, brothels, and speakeasies, they all have security, deflect, ambience, and word of mouth. So security is your guards inside. So better security means you have better guards inside and outside. So like a level 5 is really quite tough and challenging to take over. Deflect is, so we have the police walking around outside, and they are always, what's the name of it? Suspicion. They are always looking for suspicious buildings. So they're on the lookout for your rackets. And when their suspicion gets high enough for a particular building, they will end up raiding your racket, and they could shut it down, they will smash it up, you will lose a whole ton of money. So deflect is really important for lowering the cops to make sure that they don't essentially come after your buildings. What were the other two? Ambience upgrades the actual speakeasy itself. So it upgrades the look of it, and it upgrades the quality of the alcohol that's consumed in there. And what's the last one, Brenda?
Well, it improves how much people are willing to spend. Higher class.
I can open up the info screen again.
Yeah.
Word of mouth is draw. So that's how many people are coming to your racket and spending money. There is a difference between starting the game with the tutorial and starting the game without the tutorial. So if you start the game and you choose to skip the tutorial, you are given an approximation for the amount of money that you've been given through the tutorial. So the tutorial will set you up with like speakeasy and a brewery and with your first 2 gangsters. So your gangsters are your crew members that you hire on to flesh out your crew. So here, 2 guys have heard about me and heard what I'm doing to Ronnie and have come up to meet me, and I'm going to hire them and they're going to join my crew. But if outside the tutorial, if you were to skip it, you would be given enough money to hire 2 low-level gangsters yourself of your own choosing from the gangster screen, which we will show off via the black book in a while. So I'm just going to hire these 2 here. So one is Hugh Miller, who is an excellent enforcer.
I see Surgeon Gamer General. It sounds very important. Wants to know how big the map is. So you'll be seeing the map here in just a second.
Each neighborhood is there are a number of extremely large neighborhoods, there are small neighborhoods, and there are medium neighborhoods. They are massive.
Yeah.
But even a small one feels massive.
So
I think even the largest map has about 40-ish rackets in it.
Yeah.
If I remember. I haven't counted recently.
But there are also some differences between different neighborhoods, right? Like the Chinatown, for example, is very much different from the harbor districts, right?
Mm.
Yeah, absolutely. And individual neighborhoods have their own bonuses. And in fact, I'm sort of jumping the gun here, but You can actually, in your own individual neighborhoods, you can actually get synergies like 2 of a kind, 3 of a kind, like just in terms of your the rackets that you get, and those rackets sort of power up the earnings that you have. And then when you add a hotel, then because hotels bring more people into your neighborhood, you really start to ramp up the earning power of your businesses.
We've never really shown off the talent trees too much in any of the previous streams. We've never really delved into them. I was going to use this for a very kind of brief thing, and in the coming weeks, if I am here, if they allow me to come back, I will go through them even further in more depth, but I'm just going to give a very brief overview. So, as I mentioned previously, when we're selecting our bosses, each boss has their own talent tree. You start with your boss ability unlocked because we wanted to make sure that players were able to use that ability from the get-go, because they're really, really powerful. They're super overpowered abilities, but they're a lot of fun to use. So they can make the start of the game a bit easier, but it also means that you get to the mid and the late game sections much quicker.
And let's not forget you're playing against people who also have these abilities, right?
Yeah, so when you go up against a boss, they're going to use their ability against you. And you are, like, the higher tier of enemies as well also have abilities and will use them against you, and items and grenades and a whole bunch of other stuff. The talent trees are liable to change because I'm in the process of balancing them and making sure that abilities and passives are where I want them to be. And values inside those abilities will also change because that's actually what I'm working on right now. So the first tier is your boss ability, so tier 1. Tier 2 is do I want to look after myself or do I want to look after my crew tier? So if we look at Survivor is a boss only passive, and it is a case of, so we have a concept called overkill in combat in Empire Sin. So if your health is low and you take a whack of damage, it is going to kill you and you are going to skip past the bleed out. So what Survivor does is it means that you will always bleed out, regardless of how much. It basically nullifies overkill. So this is, am I selfish? Do I want to look after myself rather than my crew? We have light-footed, which will allow you to essentially not trigger Overwatch cones, which is super useful, especially if you are a mobile boss with a mobile boss ability that makes you run around and do stuff, such as Frankie. And then we have lifeline, and lifeline actually comes from the mob doctor tree. So your boss is a boss, and that means that they have access to all of the talents from all of the trees. So again, this goes back to mod ability. So if people want to change around the talent trees later on at a later point themselves with a mod, it's very easily done, and they can do whatever they want to their heart's desire using mods. So anyway, so lifeline is I care more about my crew rather than myself. I am going to protect my crew. So I'm going to select lifeline because I care about my crew.
Oh,
good man.
I really don't. So again, your enforcer is your tank. So your enforcer is quite tough, quite heavy. So you have something like draw fire, which is your taunt. So this will taunt anybody around you to attack you, but it also gives you a defensive bonus, which means that you're going to, or not a defensive bonus, it gives you a damage resistance bonus, so it means you're going to take less damage. So, and then we have suppressing fire. Suppressing fire is you're going to reduce the chance to hit of whoever you're suppressing, and if they move, you are going to get a free Overwatch shot on them. So the enforcer can go one of two ways. The enforcer can go down this kind of Overwatch expert path, or they can go down the more tanky resistance, protect the crew path. So again, I'm going to go down the more tanky resistance, protect the crew path.
The tanky path, as we like to call it.
The tanky path. And then your hired guns are just your general all-round damage dealers. They are exceptional at basically anything got to do with a gun. They have some of the highest marksmanship values in the game. They have access to the better quality of weapons in the game. They have access to the better, the better tier of weapons in the game. And they have some just really good direct damage abilities. So they're excellent at piling on your damage, but they can be a little bit fragile. So their health can be quite a bit lower.
How dare you suggest Maria? If you've been on this stream before, you know Maria is one of my favorites.
So Maria has a trait called hair trigger, wherever it is.
She does indeed.
Where is it?
It's right. Look at me. I'm about to point at the screen like that's going to be helpful.
Hair trigger. Yeah. So hair trigger is a chance for the character to lose their temper and go insane and murder everybody.
She's fantastic when she does that.
It's useful. So because Maria is equipped with a Tommy gun and starts with a Tommy gun, sorry, not a Tommy gun, an MP18 submachine gun, I'm going to choose sweep. So sweep is a AoE sweep with a machine gun, and it can only be used with a submachine gun or a light machine gun. Okay, so that's a very, very brief overview, and as we play over the next 1 weeks, I'm going to delve down into those abilities deeper. He has an MP18, he has a shotgun, so that's pretty good, and he has, I don't think the pistol's any better than...
So these are different colors of the weapons. I understand that there are different tiers of rarity, right?
Our loot and our equipment follows the more... So this is the kind of RPG aspect of Empire Sin. So Empire Sin is kind of a little bit of an RPG with a little bit of turn-based strategy, with a little bit of grand strategy. And this is one of the RPG kind of elements. So our loot, our weapons and our equipment and our trinkets and our body armor and everything else in the game follows the kind of RPG colored tier list. So from... uncommon through to rare, epic, legendary, and then you have a couple of uniques which are pink. And the uniques are the really cool, kind of interesting weapons that you will find out in the world, and they're typically reserved for other bosses. So maybe if you kill another boss, you might see some of those special items.
Yeah, also Empire of Sin is a bit more about management and building your own empire as well. So it's a different kind of overall.
In management, not just of your empire, but also of your gangsters. Because you're trying to build a crew of people. You may have seen, like, on that screen, there's people, with middle fingers, or they're in love with somebody, or they're friends with somebody. So it's organizing all that as well.
So there are personal relationships between gangsters as well, as you mentioned. So if they hate each other, they will react differently to certain
so let's
actions.
have a little bit of look at the Black Book. I forgot the name of it there for a second. So let's look at Hugh. So we can actually see somebody hates you. So Bruno Baldini will not work with you, but Ray Monks won't work with Bruno Baldini, whereas Bruno Baldini loves Maria. So there's a love triangle straight away that you are going to get weirdly involved in. So if you still have Hugh and Maria, he'll work with you because he loves Maria, but he won't work with Hugh because he doesn't want to be anywhere near him. So he'll flat out refuse to join your crew. Maybe he might have an exception.
And these relationships also develop dynamically over time.
So the guys with clocks on their faces, they're actually away at the minute. Yeah. They're being employed by other people.
Yeah.
Okay, so does it mean that if other gangsters are also hireable but by other bosses, so it's possible that the love interest of our gangster will be serving another boss, and sooner or later will probably be in a fight with them? So
absolutely.
How this will work then?
Not in your favor, usually. I mean, it's sort of like if you imagine this could be a loaded question, but if you came up against your friend in a fight, like, what are you going to do, right? So they can flat out refuse, they can quit. There's a variety of different ways that can go. Let's see.
Let's take this brewery.
Yeah, do it. Are there going to be other cities or states to play in? I know San Fran was a big location for Prohibition. So Empire of Sin, the launch game anyway, is set in Chicago.
Oh.
But you are right that Prohibition, there's some great stories all around the U.S., actually even outside of the U.S., because that's where the alcohol comes from. Let's see. Gooey Bonbon. I think we could change the name of the game to Gooey Bonbon at this point. Gooey Bonbon. Can the AI change establishments when they take it over as well? Yeah, the AI, whatever you can do, the AI can do.
Yeah.
That is, that is one of the things.
So I'm going to trigger off Capone's Rain Fire ability. So this is Capone's possibility. So Rain Fire is cone AoE Tommy gun attack. So the possibilities generally have their own unique weapons attached to them. That's to help with balance, because believe me, we tried to do it where you could equip whatever weapon you wanted, and it was an absolute freaking nightmare. So Capone has the iconic Tommy gun because that is Capone. So like, when I was designing these and going back and gathering reference, like if you watch any gangster movie with Capone or any TV show or reference anything with Capone, it's the Tommy gun. It is so iconic. And then the spray of having Capone with the Tommy gun swaying from side to side. So I knew straight away that's what it had to be. That's what Capone's ability had to be. And then there's the layering. So then comes so it's a sweep attack that covers an area and damages everybody in it. Cool. That's the basics. What do you do for it? So suppression. So the next bit is we take the suppression effect. Yeah.
I got a question for you. What's going on with Capone?
That's the possibility. That's Rain of Fire.
Yeah, because he's still covering
it continues. He continues spraying the area until the ability ends. So it goes for a round.
Okay.
So he will just continue doing that until I finish my round. But there's also another element. So those guys now have reduced chance to hit. So Capone is quite well protected while he is suppressing an enemy. And then the next part is there's also an overwatch built into it. So anybody who moves in or out of that or inside the cone internally is going to get hit. So it's a massive amount of fuck you to whoever gets trapped in it.
Let's see. What other question?
Oh, there we go.
What?
So we had an enemy move into it, got suppressed, took damage.
Okay, and this guy is just calmly, reloading.
Reloading while he's under fire. That's fine. That's totally fine.
Nerves of steel.
So it damages
you
friendlies
can hit
as well.
Yourself as well.
So
Wow,
So friendly fire is a massive thing in Empire Sin. So if you cross over into each other's, AoE attacks, into their explosions, into their shotgun blasts, you are going to damage your friendlies, and they don't always appreciate it.
Okay, and there's also
so now she's
permakill,
suppressed.
Right?
She only has 8% chance to hit. I'm not going to hit him, and I've taken off half her health. So that's the end of Rain Fire.
Here's a more serious question for you. As someone who loves turn-based strategy in general, I feel we're in a bit of a golden era for these types of games. Do you feel that that this hinders your game if there's too many similar titles it has to compete with, or do you feel like the more accessible titles will benefit you with a bigger audience looking for in-depth tactical experience? I honestly think it's Empire of Sin. It stands on its own. There are not. I don't feel like we're in big competition with the 5 other Prohibition era strategy games, because there aren't any. But that said, like the fact that there are some great turn-based tactical strategy games coming, I love playing them. So the more the merrier. If anything, probably the biggest strategy game that scares me is one. I don't know if you've heard of it, Machi, but Crusader Kings 3.
I heard about this one. Yeah.
So like the giant sucking sound of all strategy players, heading to CK3. Like me, even, oh my God, CK3. I don't want to say that it has affected the development of Empire of Sin, but like it's the classic thing. It's like, well, I'm just going to play a little bit, and then it's freaking 4:00 in the morning. But anyway, Casey, I think it's great. I'm right with you in terms of that being one of my favorite styles of games. Let's see, MDM Stat U47. Is there going to be a second session of playthrough?
Absolutely.
The playthrough that you're seeing, unless Ian miraculously wins. Then there will, which he's not going to, and I have every faith in Ian, but I know that's not this short of a game.
That's okay.
So yeah, there's going to be a second, third, fourth playthrough. We're going to try to get to the end and become, well, since we're playing Capone, we're going to become King of Chicago.
Fuck you, Ronnie.
So that what you just saw there. What you just saw there, that was a sit down. So sit downs are usually pretty tense moments. All right, so Ian's going to show.
Can I get the 2 of them? This is a stupid maneuver, and this is how I die all the time.
No, don't.
I can't get both of them.
Okay, because we can't actually die.
No, we're not going to die. We'll be fine. Be grand.
I know we will be. I trust you, Ian. I always have trust in you.
Go on, run into it. Yeah, there we go.
Okay, let's see. Wouldn't it be better in terms of customizing your gang that every soldier you can recruit starts at the same level and you can level them up so you don't end up being somehow forced to purchase the same elite soldiers in the late game? So an interesting thing is that those elite soldiers won't necessarily work with you when you're just starting out. And so basically you've just arrived, like in the case of Frankie Donovan, like he's more or less fresh off the boat. And so, good job.
Oh, there's
Maria.
Hair Trigger.
This is why Maria is fantastic.
If she survives.
Ian.
Be positive.
I'm always positive. I'm Mr. Positive.
Nice.
Positive she's going to survive, I hope. So let's see, when in the late game, you don't, and in fact, I should say, you don't always have to wait until the late game. Because sorry, that was just particularly gross. Those bosses, or those characters, the gangsters, if you're working with somebody that they work with, like for instance, I happen to know one of my favorite gangsters they have a soft spot for a tier 1 gangster. So if you do well by that tier 1 gangster, there is a possibility that R will work for you, and R is deadly.
Oh, it looks
So
tense.
Way too low.
let's see. Fur shark. I'm absolutely destroying the pronunciation of that. Why don't you try that, Maji?
Which one? Sorry.
Oh, it's
The
caught you off guard.
fewer shark?
Yeah. Okay, so can you just kill people or attack places without police problems? No. I mean, if you're inside of a gangster's safe house, like you basically. So here's how it affects your empire. So let's just say, so Ian's creating all kinds of issues here. We're still in the tutorial at this point. Ian's creating all kinds of issues, but let's just say we're in a more advanced game. So Ian's got a bunch of businesses in a neighborhood. Things are going well. He's making a lot of money in that neighborhood. Somebody will say, Ronnie O'Neill, back from the dead, comes into the neighborhood to give Ian all kinds of trouble. If there's a lot of gunfights, that's going to make people understandably nervous, and they're not going to be happy about that. So what will happen as a result of that is it will actually reduce spending. It will affect the prosperity of the neighborhood. It will affect all kinds of things that affect your empire. Also, the cops can get involved. People can get arrested. They can get jailed. All kinds of stuff can go on. So you can't. You have to be smart about the way you're doing that. Let's see. I see somebody just in our internal chat here. CK3 producer's nightmare. Where's the team? Quote, researching in CK3. It's your own fault, Paradox. But I do want to say, like, congrats to the CK3 team. Geez, what a launch, man.
Yeah, I think that the game is quite a blast, but
yeah.
I'm also curious how this will develop, because I see that you're struggling, Ian. How is it going?
No, I'm fine. I'm grand. Things are going well.
Let's see.
I'm trying to keep people alive.
But usually when you're assaulting the enemy's safe house, it's much harder battle than normal.
Yeah. So again,
raids,
this
right?
just to make sure people are aware, this is the tutorial. This is the end of the tutorial. We're literally in the last fight. So it's a tougher fight to bring people into the actual game, but if you assault a safe house in the actual game, by God, you better bring a good crew with good equipment and well kitted out with talents, because it is a slog.
I'm only laughing because the first time I was like, you know what? I got a great gameplay strategy. Screw all these rackets. I'm going to go straight for the safe houses. Wow, was that a short game?
Yeah.
It's an unbelievably short game.
Okay, pretty close, getting there.
So close.
Yeah. Oh, now we should be able to finish it.
Nothing is certain in this game. Yeah. See? Who jinxed
I'm not
it,
saying
huh?
anything. I'm not saying anything now.
Yeah.
You're almost there.
Okay.
I'm gonna trigger his Overwatch. I can't shoot through Maria. I'm gonna trigger his Overwatch anyway. I'm gonna eat it.
Ouch.
It's the end of it. Fuck you, Ronnie.
Yay! So we made it.
And he's gonna get fucking executed as well because he's a dick. What a way to end it! Yeah! Fuck you, Ronnie.
And you got a nice vest.
And I got his vest.
So, Ian, wait, don't get rid of that. So this is a key thing. When you take over somebody else's empire, this is why you do crazy things like go for people's safe houses. You get every single business that they have opened.
You inherit their empire.
Yeah. So my strategy was sound in terms of my desire, in that I wanted all their stuff. But it was not very good because I got slaughtered.
Congratulations, you got your first safe house.
Let's see. So you got your first safe house. Safe houses give you benefits when you're in them, but as the tutorial is telling you, I don't need to tell you.
To do the legwork, but eventually you'll get an underboss to do your bidding while you
Okay. In the meantime, we had a couple of questions about the music. Is the soundtrack in Empire Scene original work or something that we took from the era? No,
it is absolutely original work. Yeah, so it is original. We have a couple of composers on it. So there's Tommy Buckley, as well as Dan Polakar.
So I think this is a good wrap-up because we basically finished the tutorial, in fact. So going forward from this, we'll probably between the streams just conquer a couple of rackets to, expand our empire a bit and start from this point on. And then we'll also present you the new bosses, new game mechanics, and we'll go forward conquering the Chicago as Al Capone.
That sounds like a kick-ass plan.
Yeah,
I
and
really
in the
like it.
meantime, we will of course file our taxes on the income that we've earned.
Yeah.
As Al Capone. The special,
I'm going to do that right away.
Yeah,
right after the
fastest-
stream.
Can you imagine trying to pitch a taxes DLC? I mean, that
Oh,
would
God.
die. That would just be the first. That would. Let's just kill it right now. All right. So wait, when we come back, we'll just keep playing for just a little bit, get our empire just a little bit going. We'll get at least one racket. Gooey Bonbon, you will not be disappointed. Come back, you will have a building named after you. And then we'll play on from there. So we survived the tutorial. Good job, Ian. That would have been shameful if we died in the tutorial. Can you imagine?
Go me.
Okay.